How's the acquisition process been for you? When is it looking like you'll have like those first dividends? All of that.
Yeah, so far it's just been transferring things over like the vendors. I have to fill out a vendor application form for one. Um, Setting up, transferring the licenses over to me. Just so I could be compliant within the state of Colorado to operate. Um, I guess holistically, the transition process has been going okay. I can't really complain or say too much. So far, so good type of thing. It was really nice to get a tour of the facilities and the office spaces that I now own. So that's pretty cool. Some are really swanky in other parts of town as well. They're pretty much all pretty much nice or swanky. I even went to the crematory, which is nice as well.
Okay.
And that was interesting. There was no, I didn't see any of the deceased because he made sure that there would not be any there, just to ease me into it, sort of thing. But for real, so I was able to see the process, see how see one of the intake centers in downtown Denver, Colorado, and see how that whole thing works. They have forms and documents that the patients, that the families fill out on the deceased behalf and what have you, and helping them, walking them through the packages we have available and through the whole process as a whole. They seeing how they currently use word of mouth to generate revenue and whatnot. As far as this dividend distribution goes, once I transfer over the accounts, hopefully this week is our hope, if not next week. Um, I would then, so I set up a Colorado Funeral Homes revenue account. Then my vision, my idea is to have a revenue account, expenses, payroll, and retained earnings or savings for future potential acquisitions. So the plan is to once I get get the account moved over to me, to my name and my account, to see what the actual cash flow is like, and then I could go for there allocating capital appropriately for to make payroll next month. That's what like stressing me right now because I gotta get this done so I can make payroll. You see what I'm saying? It's a whole new way of thinking. Or pay the debt service, for instance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like these sorts of things are now the new stressors in my life, aside from, you know, baby and all that jazz. And then figuring out how from a tax efficiency standpoint, what's the best way to pay myself being without paying too much in taxes.
Yeah. Understood. Makes perfect sense.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But being on this side, it is interesting, man. It is fascinating. Being a business owner for the first time ever in my life. It's surreal. It's such a sweet feeling to be in this position now, and I just figuring out ways to get stabilized. Create the systems, create the processes, become tax efficient, become a well-oiled machine, so I can then focus on growth strategies.
Got it. And so appreciate you sharing that with me. Um, if you don't mind, if we can go into most of the clients are going to ask you, well, Junior, how much money did you put down? And what's your expected cash flow? Like, what's your expected rate of return? How are you able to make the decision to move forward with this venture versus other ones? And like, what was it that gave you the green light and the confidence to do that?
Man, I'm just seeing what you all were doing on that random fateful day. I was on my couch. I had just been pushed out of my job after doing closing $700 million capex transaction with some counterparties and a Fortune 10 tech CNI company that who was buying the power, and just like man, was not a good feeling at the time, and that was to be honest, that's the straw that broke the camel's back and said I have to do something different. And then I randomly came across one of your listings, one of your ads on Instagram, and like, huh, he's doing exactly what I'm trying to do. Let me reach out be proactive and finally make a move in this direction. Because the entire time I've just been focused on just getting another job. Because this is initially I thought I was gonna do, but then I'm like, man, I don't want just another job. I want to buy my freedom type of thing. I feel like a runaway slave, to be honest with you, but that's another story. And then, I also reached out. Um, you were so kind as to offer me different pay packages aside from the 25K down program. Ended up taking a plunge, and man, the return on investment has been just unparalleled, like insane. Like, not only did you put me in touch with the rest of the team, also it's been great meeting you, Jim, Chris, and everyone. But not only did you also introduce me to the deal indirectly because that was, we were trying to help another client of ours with this transaction that he
Yeah.
fell through. That we try to get another one of our clients, as you know, Mike Hardy, to get into it as well. But that didn't really go as planned. And then the likes of Jim and then the seller TJ getting me more comfortable and acclimated with this type of business. Not only did you do all that, you also introduced me to a myriad of able-bodied lenders, which was the secret sauce to getting this done, especially Dana Rose in that Meridian Bank. Like, without that connection, obviously connecting with you all in order to get the deal in the first place, there would be no deal to be had, Ryan. I sort of been stuck. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
when I say the ROI is unfathomable, for me personally, it's immeasurable because it helped me get the business in terms of showing me the business, and because I already have M&A background anyway, all I needed was a sound business and a lender, and I knew I could run with it. So you showed me the business. I happen to be an M&A guy, so getting it done was not a problem. And then you set me up with the lender has been amazing. Chris was able to get this deal, keep this deal alive until it's time for me to step into it. And Jim was there also, he was instrumental in bringing this deal to fruition in the first place. So when people ask me, because I take calls and speak to other potential clients who want to know what's going on. So when they ask me what my thoughts are, I'm like, what do you mean with my thoughts? I have nothing but great things to say. And to be honest with you, you'd be very foolish not to proceed with acquisition network and helping you attain your goals in terms of business acquisitions on your own. So it's like getting to the point where it's becoming offensive to me when people questioning all of you or all of us in terms of getting a deal done. You know what I mean?
I feel the same way, man.
I don't know if that makes sense, or I don't know if I'm effectively articulating my strong thoughts on that, because it's like no one else is going to do this in this form of fashion or manner, you know. And so that's why I say, like, the return on investment has been immense, and also grateful.
Yeah.
To
And so, yeah, think about the investment you made into us versus like the investment you made into Tufts University and how much you made, right? Versus
exactly.
you paid a few $100,000, right, for Tufts to make
a few $100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, between Tufts and Duke, definitely a few $100,000. I'm still paying for Duke right now, and a little bit of Tufts. I'm still in the whole 240K in debt. So I know it. I could tell you exactly what amount of money I'm in debt to my higher level education is 240K.
Yeah.
And I could tell you, yes, I made a few $100,000 over the last 10 years because of Tufts and Duke, no doubt. But I'm still in a hole with that debt.
But they haven't added millions of dollars to your net worth, right?
Exactly.
So that's something that we've already done. Like you already have, right? You now have a 7-figure net worth, Junior. How cool is that?
Exactly.
You're a millionaire.
That's amazing. I'm a millionaire.
You're literally a fucking millionaire.
On paper working to get liquid. That's the next step.
But you but you walked into like let's go over the deal economics now, right? You put up about 125,000, right, for a business with an asking price of 2.4 million that was appraised for 3.4 million, right?
2.2 million. Yep. But who's counting?
So it was 2.2 was asking, and then you said the appraisal was 3.2.
Yes. So almost about a call it $1 million in equity of walking, or about $1 million in equity
So
of walking into.
explain to everybody who doesn't understand, like how do you how and why did you were able to walk into $1 million in equity on this deal?
Oh, because the purchase price was 2.35 million exactly, and concerning the cash flow, it cash flowed around a million EBITDA. So that's less than a 2x multiple. So the multiple is already below market. Real Normally speaking, on average, you're looking at anywhere from 3 to 4x multiple for any deal they see, if not higher, if it's a tech type of business acquisition you're trying to do. However, this deal was already at a good starting point or selling price, and then dealing with the lender, Meridian Bank, and then what happens with an SBA lender, you have to do a business valuation, and the business is actually valued higher in this case, 3.2 million, and which, to be honest, is quite conservative because if you do, you know, a full even a 4x multiple, you're gonna get closer to 4 million, 4 point something million in asking price. You understand, you know?
Yeah.
So just being able to, negotiate the price a little bit, by the way, help of acquisition network, and being able to lower the price a little bit and having a higher valuation, it works out to where I'm walking into like about $1 million in equity on this particular opportunity. So that's another thing I'm just truly grateful about, bar none.
Yep. So to clear to for the people that didn't catch everything, because we represent the buyer, we're able to help negotiate a better price for you, and so that's an example. That's how we were able to get Junior $1 million in equity because we were able to negotiate the price at a lower value than whereas like a broker actually does the complete opposite. So a lot of times people ask us, well, why am I going to pay you when I can go to a broker? Is well, a broker's not going to give you a deal where you walk into $1 million in equity, right?
No, they're going to increase the price for you versus acquisition network. What we do is try to lower the purchase price for you so you have a better chance of not only cash flowing even more, but also getting a better deal and walking in with potential equity.
Yep, no, exactly. And so, can we go over, Junior? What's your expected cash flow on this deal?
Sure. So what I mentioned earlier, the EBITDA is actually net income. The net income, I should just start from top line. Top line based on 2024 numbers is 2.305 million top line growth. And then EBITDA slash net income becomes 1.072 million for just using 2024 numbers from the P&L, sorry, tax returns, was 1.072. And then also you have to apply debt service to that, call it 400K. So looking at realistically anywhere from 500 to 600K cash flow after it's all said and done. Then
That's
you
up.
have to worry about distributions, which I got to figure out just from a tax perspective how to optimize that, and also having put money away to do the next acquisition,
Yep.
what have you.
So you're saying after all expenses, so you said it's 1.2 mil is the top
No,
line.
1.1 point. The top line is 2.3,
Top line's
but after
2.3.
expenses, yeah, so 2.3.
Yeah.
Then after expenses and everything for 2024 is 1 point. Just call it one. Just call it 1 mil to make numbers easy, right?
And then there's debt service.
Then the third service called 400K. And then you pay yourself like a nominal salary. I'm not going crazy doing like not even 100K. I think about anywhere from 80 to 100K for myself just to have um, you know the ability to take care of my family type of thing, and then the rest is just going to be due for the next acquisition and investments.
So you're gonna pay yourself just like 150,
No, probably 100.
just 100. Well, you're used to living lean now, huh?
Yeah, I'm just living lean now. I gotta keep lean. I'm not gonna go crazy and anything because I'm a new stage. Yes, I learned how to live more lean and also use any extra cash to buy more assets. So I
Yep.
really want to buy more assets.
So you got so with that 400 debt, 100, so 8 times 12, right? Actually, I'm sorry. So 400 debt. So that's 500 a year that you're tucking away basically,
Yes,
and that's how you
hopefully
create
it'll be.
wealth, ladies and gentlemen. Is you
Yeah,
have so for five
hopefully it'll
he's
be increase.
500 a year. So that means you plan on saving 41,000 a month.
Yeah,
That's
let me. Sorry for the background noise, guys. I got a
that's
brand new
crazy. You got to think. So
5-month-old baby boy.
40,000 a month that you're just stashing away so you could buy something else.
Yeah, so 300 plus 600K. Yeah, I'm factoring debt service because it's two. Because I don't know if you remember the structure I mentioned earlier, right? So it's a $2.05 million loan from the bank. 300K is coming from the seller in the form of seller's note, and then me paying 125K, 120K as well. So then my debt service becomes that two, my debt service is at 2 point, rounded up to 2.6 is total, right? Total everything said and done. So to backtrack into what you were saying, if it's a million, you minus about 500K. Yes, so yes, at 500K, I would be um, pocketing, which is 41.67K per month.
So
Yeah,
that's going to put you in position to be like David, buy a business every year. With
exactly.
that
And
level of
then
free cash flow, people are going to love to throw money at you, Junior. Right? You save that out, you get 300K in the account, and you're ready to go. Basically, like 6 months from now, you
mhm,
can by summertime you could
exactly,
probably be in another position to do another deal.
exactly. This time next summer, I want to be positioned to do another deal and close by before the year's up next year,
That should
2026.
be the goal. Is like every October, November. That should
Close
be
a
the
deal
goal.
every October,
Every
November.
October, November, you're closing in something else. That should be
Exactly.
Junior's closing time.
Exactly.
And so now,
When I
on
say
that
October,
note,
November,
Junior, let's go
I'm
into the
close.
story. Let's go in a little bit of why was this deal so difficult? Why did it take longer than it had to? And how can other people learn from those trials and tribulations so that you know you could have potentially been in this deal 6 months ago, and how can other people avoid that situation, Junior? If you don't mind
It's
me
very
asking.
simple. It's very simple. It's very simple. Just listen to what they tell you at the acquisition network. Point blank, bar none. Uh, reason why it was so difficult is because dealing with low grade lenders. However, had I listened to the likes of you and Jim, who said just go with Dana because she's good and she's been wanting to do the deal, but then I'd start listening to other lenders, unbeknownst to myself, who just lie or overpromise and underdeliver. I went through three different lenders before going back to Dana, the original lender over at Meridian Bank, and that's the problem with the this paradox of choice is a real thing. Because literally, it was four lenders, and all were saying the same exact thing. But for the reason Ryan and Jim were able to ascertain and discern, well, this lender in particular, we feel strongly about, we believe that she could indeed close, and that's exactly what ended up happening. So I went to three different lenders. The first lender, they they promised me no money down and said the way they were going to structure is no money down, but they lied, and that they would also be able to do it in 2 months or less, which is a farce. So they ended up um, at the ninth inning randomly rejecting my application altogether out of nowhere for reasons I'll never truly fully understand or know, especially since they've had my file from the very beginning. And then so moved into the second lender. Second lender, they claimed that they could do it in 6 weeks. And I was getting a lot of pressure from the seller's family to close ASAP. So I let external factors get the better of me and my better judgment, and I went with the next shortest timeline in terms of getting the deal closed. they obviously could not execute as well, and they had me in underwriting for over 3 months, 3 to 4 months, going into August, September. I had started with them in April. Now August, September, and finally when we finally do get the commitment letter, it's only for $1 million because quote unquote they didn't feel comfortable with the full exposure, which again it makes no sense to me. Then finally going back to Meridian Bank, who from the very beginning had always wanted to do the deal for me and had been asking Chris over Acquisition Network, hey, how's Junior's deals going? How's Junior's deal going? And what have you. And he kept saying, yeah, it's on the way, it's on good. They kept promising commitment letter. The commitment letter never came, and finally did come. It was for less than half of what the purchase price was. So imagine that conversation with the seller. Needless to say, I almost lost the deal altogether. That's what a lot of people probably don't know or realize, that this deal almost died by a solid 10 to 12 times in the span of 6 to 8 months. And
Yeah.
it took so long. The reason why it took so long because there was always an issue with the lender and them not being able to deliver what they claimed they would be able to do. So that part I didn't like or care much for, unfortunately. But had I just went with Marine Bank from the very beginning, I would have been able to close this a whole lot sooner. Like like if I went with them back in February, March, April, max May, I would have been done. You know what I mean? I'd have been done at the start of the summer, before the start of the summer, this past year, or even a little bit sooner. But like I said, had I just went with Marine Bank from the very beginning, this would have been done faster.
So the lesson learned is in this game of acquisitions, commit to the people that commit to you. Don't chase the shiny object. Someone's always going to give you a
Exactly.
better offer, but the best
On
offer is
paper.
the best offer is an offer. And so, looking back on it, guys, if Junior pulled the trigger on the first offer, he'd have an extra $300,000 in his account right now. He'd be in position to look at a deal right now.
Yeah, that's true. And I regret that, man. Had I went with Marine
And we would
Bank from
have
the
more
very
clients,
beginning,
and we probably would have raised more money because then we'd be able to show people the traction. And that's what everyone's asking. So it's all good, guys. We learn from these lessons. And that's why we wanted to record this to help other people navigate this process so that they can get into business ownership sooner. Um, that's we're almost close it out, Junior. Before we go, can you just kind of share with everybody your background, the fact that you are like extremely qualified in this space, but still we're struggling, and how long were you thinking about like getting into this acquisition game without us? And what was that
yeah. So
experience? What was that experience initially of trying to get into the market without our support?
yeah, so I guess I could start there. It was a struggle finding business, period, point blank, full stop. I've been sort of spinning my wheels for at least a month or two prior to ever discovering Acquisition Network and stumbling across your page, Ryan. And so I was like, yeah, this is probably not getting anywhere. And part of it was lack of discipline because I kept thinking, I wasn't really fully committed. I kept thinking, I'm going to go back to corporate eventually and just, I was still taking calls or emails or interviews. I wasn't really fully committed, and all I'm going to do is chase that position and do my own thing. I kept thinking in the back of my mind, subconsciously, I'll probably end up getting another job offer. But until I fully committed mentally, said there is no going back to corporate, there is no tomorrow type of thing. And then randomly, meeting you guys and, you all showing me really good value added deals to eventually late last year, stumbling up across CEO Funeral Homes, and then having spoken to Jim Acquisition Network and really guide me through how I should be thinking about it, was bar none like one of the greatest things that could have happened. And the reason why I struggled, because even though, just quickly briefly going into my background, I've closed billions of dollars in M&A activity. I was a former head of M&A at a renewable energy company. I've done hundreds upon hundreds of billions of deals and transactions, and working in Goldman Sachs and that capital markets group, what have you. I syndicated 6 billion to the street, and having a number of other jobs in New York within financial services sector. In my previous life, I've been a design engineer at Boeing, working on large wide-body aircraft like the 747s and 777s, what have you, in the Chinook helicopter program. On the education side, I hold both a bachelor's and master's in mechanical engineering from Tufts University and a Duke MBA. And even with that, this was still hard to do because the world of the lower middle market deals and transactions is quite hairy. It's really different from the clean and pristine deals you're used to dealing with in back in corporate with other high-end institutions or financial professionals. You need a team like the Acquisition Network who understands these types of deals. They're going to be hairy. They're going to have issues with them, but having a team ready who knows this, who knows the ins and outs, who knows how to talk and speak, communicate with lenders, and connect clients with lenders at this level is bar none. Because this is a whole new world for me. I never dabbled in this space before, despite knowing how to close a transaction. But dealing with transactions and people in this particular segment, that being sub $10 million range, is completely new and different world for me. So you need a team like the Acquisition Network to help guide. I needed them to help guide me through this and get this done in this place. Especially cannot emphasize this enough. Especially put me in touch with the right lenders, because in my space, there's no way I was going to find a lender who's going to do this level of deal for me. So if you're a random person off the street, and like, I don't see how you would get this done otherwise.
So there you go. I appreciate that, Junior, because a lot of people say, "Hey, well, SBA lenders are anywhere. Like, what difference does that make?" And you've experienced firsthand for yourself, Junior. It's not about an SBA lender. It's about the relationship. It's about who you're working with at the bank that is going to advocate for you to push the deal across. That's what you can't go out and find if you don't have experience in the space, right?
No way, you can't. You simply can't.
Yeah.
You have to. You just can't do it. You know, I didn't know any lenders in this space, and even yeah, I have other SBA lenders, but again, it's in this space. It's come down to strength of that relationship. Good people know good people, and in this space, I worked, like I mentioned, I worked with two other SBA lenders unaffiliated with the Acquisition Network beforehand, and they couldn't get it done. They're also SBA, so
Yep, and they couldn't
yeah,
get it done. It's just to give you context, like how do we get such a good relationship with a lender? Is Dana? She was introduced to us by Eli, who's someone who we met about a year earlier. Eli came in through our advertisements. Eli, he helped build like 1,000 Quiznos, right? He's like a top franchise operator and consultant, and so because he's done so much volume, that's how he's able to get a personalized relationship with the bank that you're just not going to get on your own. You're just not, right? And so,
no.
so when we explain these relationships, Eli, right, did 1,000 Quiznos, generated hundreds of millions in bank volume, right? So that's like tens of years of relationship building. Then I meet him 1 to 2 years later, and then he introduced Dana, who he's known for 5, 8 years, right? It's like that's what
Mm-hmm.
you're paying for. You're paying for years and years of like transactional volume. So when a client is presented through Acquisition Network, you're getting, oh yeah, this is a real viable deal. I'm not wasting my time. Like that's what it's all about with closing deals with lenders is do they believe that you're actually capable of following through? So when you come through us, that is what you're paying for. Cool.
Exactly.
Any
Thank you for knowing.
any final thoughts, Junior, for to any client that's watching this video that's on the fence, um, and they're asking for reference calls, and we're like, hey guys, we want to give you reference calls, but you got to understand from our perspective, we have like at a minimum, we have a new client sign up with us every week, literally at a minimum, meaning every week at least 3 to 5 people ask us for a reference call.
Mm-hmm.
Junior, you just bought a business. You don't want to take 5 new like sales calls every week just because you invested money in us, right? Like that's not what you signed up for, right? And that's why we're shooting this video to kind of provide clarity to anyone that's on the fence. So anybody that does want that reference call, can you kind of just attest to, like you spoke about like what the service is, but can you just kind of go into like who the people are? Like it's really clear, Junior, when you paid us, we didn't just like run off with your money, right? When you called
Right.
us, we were available to you. The calls are all recorded. There's standing meetings that you're able to sit on, right?
Mhm.
Can you kind
Yeah,
of
exactly.
can you
There's
share that
standing meetings.
experience of like there's standing meetings, there's M&A meetings, there's ELT meetings, there's all hands meetings, there's
Yeah.
clear ways to get a hold of us. There was never a
Oh,
time when you weren't able to reach us within like 1 to 3 hours, 5 hours, right? Is my correct? Because like
yeah.
that's people's biggest fear is like they send us the money and then they're not going to be able to hear from us again. Can you kind of speak to your experience with that of like what it was post investing money into the company?
Sure. You all were always available to help if I had any questions. You all were always around. Yeah, if I had specific deals I wanted to take a look at, you always worked as a great sounding board. That being the likes of Jim, you, Chris, some of the other members of the operating ELT team as well. So that bar none for me was just really super duper helpful, especially at the beginning when you were sort of putting together your buy box and your investment thesis, and you get to the paradox of choice. It's nice to have a team who can bounce ideas off of you and tell you, hey, you stop chasing waterfalls type of thing, and having the ability to just be available at any time, if you had any questions, issues, concerns. The white glove service, putting together LOI transaction documents, sitting on meetings with the sellers and the brokers, getting on the phone with sellers and brokers to talk about value add transactions and deals. I mean, come on, and again, linking me up with the lender, who, by the way, very super available, always around to take your call, no matter if it's late night on the weekends. Like, this isn't a 9 to 5. It's an M&A deal. If you're trying to work on an M&A deal, you've got to have a team in place who understands that it's not a 9 to 5 type of business. The guys are available on Saturdays, on weekends, late at night. Same with the lender who's actively pursuing and helping you get the deal done and closed. So everyone just available at the beck and call. You can have check-in meetings. You can have randomly. You can random text people if you need help, if you want something done, or if you have any questions, issues, concerns. Just being transparent. Everything's recorded. Everyone's easily accessible. I have everyone's cell phone numbers too. Like, it was a shady business. You wouldn't share text or phone numbers and pick up and turn my messages either, right? So it's like it goes without said type of thing. So just again, I'm really fortunate that I was able to team up and partner up with you guys, and now I have my own cash flowing business that I need to just keep going, and this is going to be one of many.
First of many, baby. Let's go. So final thoughts is Junior, where you want to be 5 years from now?
Oh man, I'm own a 10 figure portfolio or a 10 figure business where I'm just keep scaling up and do a roll up strategy. Ten
Amen.
years from now, 10 years from now, I'm looking to have a 10 figure exit. Yeah,
Let's do it, baby. Let's. So we'll
do it.
look back on this case study and document that journey, Junior. We're so grateful for you,
Thanks.
for obviously being a client investor of ours and taking the time to explain the experience. Thank you so much, everybody. If you have any questions for Junior, uh, how can they reach you, Junior? If they have any final questions, can they message you on
Yeah,
LinkedIn? Are you
yeah.
accessible there?
You mentioned me on LinkedIn. I don't know if my email's still available. If you want to reach out to me there too, at junior.guardia@gmail.com, what have you, or junior at acquisitionnetwork.io too. So whatever, I'm around.
Cool. Thank you so much, brother. We'll see you
No
guys on
problem.
the next one. If you have any further questions, feel free to join us on our next all hands meeting. We do those bi weekly at 6 o'clock Eastern.